Hey, my name is Nate with Common Sense Gaming, and today we're going to be looking at why consoles are holding back the gaming industry. So yeah, I know this is definitely a topic worth of some debate. There's going to be a lot of different opinions here. But first, let me tell you about my history with consoles. Really fast, less than 30 seconds. I grew up with the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2. I then eventually got an Xbox 360, and then I moved to the Xbox One, and then I also had a PS4. And then sometime in all that, I had the Wii and some of those weird Nintendo stuff along the way, like the DS and whatnot. That's not a console. But the point of this is to show I'm not biased against consoles. I love consoles, and that's how I knew gaming in its entirety growing up. Now, cut to when I'm about 16 or 17 years old, I get my first gaming PC. I finally saved up the money, put it together. My life was changed. And then my life was changed again once I got a 144 hertz monitor. So I was playing games on consoles for over a decade, and now I've been playing games on PC for about half a decade. I think I'm in a pretty decent position here to explain to you the difference in it all, and specifically looking at consoles, why they are holding back the gaming industry. So let's begin. First, I want to show you a graph here, because, well, say it with me, consoles are computers. It's funny when we start talking about consoles, we kind of forget that it's just a computer. We act like it's this new sort of machine. No, it's a computer. And I have to remind myself of that sometimes too. Looking at this list, it makes these consoles actually look like what they are. And that is parts of a computer. That's what it is. Look, AMD 8-core, 2.3 gigahertz. I mean, we're talking PC parts here. We're talking about 12 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive, which is just a freaking shame. Let's start there. So if you look at this part list, you may not know a little bit about parts. If you do, you see some egregious acts immediately, and that is, these are brand new consoles. Look at this, Xbox One X, PlayStation 4 Pro. These are like, quote unquote, the cutting edge of the gaming industry right now for consoles. Why are they still on hard drives? The PC community moved away from hard drives a long time ago. A lot of people still use them, but as storage, not really for playing games. If you're gaming and you're on a hard drive, you are really doing a disservice to yourself. If you walk into a Walmart and you try, and actually in 2019, you can buy gaming PCs at Walmart now, that's as crazy as that is. You can buy gaming PCs at Walmart, and you can also obviously buy these big consoles. If you walk out of a Walmart with a PlayStation 4 Pro or an Xbox One X, you are walking out with a 5-year-old computer. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. These things are running at 30 and 60 FPS. But their big claim to fame, guys, is that they can do 4K. And this is why the gaming industry is being held back, because the majority of people are on console, even though they are leaving in absolute masses. People are coming to PC like more than ever, which is awesome. But the problem is Sony and Microsoft really know how to like misguide you in their marketing. Like they're going to talk about the number of how much RAM they have in their thing. Like they have 8 gigabytes of RAM, or oh, the Xbox One X has this many gigabytes of RAM. Like, and it can do 4K. That's the big one you'll hear so much from people. 4K, 4K, 4K. Xbox One X can do 4K. And all these consoles talking about 4K. Do you guys want to know something that is literally so unimportant in gaming in 2019? 4K. Do you want to know why 4K is not important? Besides the fact that like 98% of people can't tell the difference between 4K and 1440p, much less 4K and 1080p. And that is because Microsoft and Sony don't want you to know about performance. They only want you to care about that picture. You're going to get 4K of the worst pixel quality you've ever seen, and it is going to be playing at a smooth 30 FPS. Guys, we're in 2019, and consoles still make so many games playing on 30 FPS, and even best case scenario, 60? Guys, we were doing that in 2006 on our PCs, guys. And then we moved up to 90, and then we were doing 120 and 144, and hey, now look, all PC gamers ask for uncapped frames, and I think 300 FPS should be any game's like minimum, max, cap. It's really hard to show it over video, and some people have tried to do it, but you just can't really quite show what it's like to play high FPS and high refresh rates versus just what you have normally playing a console laughably at 4K. 30 FPS. After the new Xboxes and the new PlayStations, Microsoft and Sony pour so much R&D into trying to get the new console working, give it the right look, the right name and marketing, blah, 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 blah. The parts they picked to go literally inside the machine are parts from many years ago where they could buy in such insane bulk at low prices from, it looks like as of the past couple of years, AMD is getting all their business. Everything is already outdated. Guys, I'm looking at these processors. These are slow processors. These graphics cards, integrated AMD teraflop, guys. And after looking at this graph over and just constantly being hurt by what I'm seeing, I mean, I can't get over the fact that we are literally using hard drives instead of solid state drives. And again, it's another thing where I can only show you like read and write speeds, but I can't believe Microsoft and Sony are letting the majority of gamers out there play on this crap. Like, we're literally so far ahead in gaming on the other side of the fence. It's starting to get disgusting how badly Xbox and PlayStation are trying to price gouge their consumers and giving them literally nothing in return. And not only that, also charging them for online fees. Very cool, guys. Thank you. We missed the PS3's days of free online. And again, this all comes back down to performance. And if you are more of a console player and you don't know much about all these kind of technical words and stuff, there's one thing you should always keep to heart. Don't let these big companies tell you, don't let their marketing fool you. Listen to the gamers. We will tell you every time, performance is much more important than picture and resolution. Your performance means your frames per second, your FPS. FPS also stands for first person shooter, like Call of Duty, but in this case it stands for frames per second. FPS is king when it comes to performance. And then if you have a high refresh rate monitor, you can enjoy every aspect of that performance. And that's what you can't do with consoles. You pay you're paying $500 for an Xbox One. That's half of $1,000. Math. They're literally holding back the market, the whole gaming industry. 30 and 60 FPS. And then, and when you're wondering why some games are 30 and some games are 60, it would be literally unplayable if you were to play a first-person shooter like Call of Duty at 30 FPS. Have you ever seen what a first-person shooter looks like in 30 frames? Have you actually felt that difference? Maybe you've seen it as a casual console gamer. You've played Call of Duty online, you're like, oh wow, why is this a lot smoother than, when you're playing one of these big world games? Like if you're playing a big open world, like when Cyberpunk comes out, that will be in 30 FPS on your Xbox One X. I'm sorry, that's not going to be running at 60 frames. Think of any of these big, like especially single player games. That's really to keep in mind. Like Destiny, and The Division, as you're watching my gameplay from The Division 2. These games are going to run at 30 FPS because when a game developer, so let's say when the people that make Division have to choose between 60 FPS and 30 FPS, here's what it actually means. If your game is running at 60 FPS, then it means that there are less things being rendered in the world, there are less AI, there are less everything. But if the game's at 30 FPS, that means the developer wanted to lock the game at 30, not let it go above 60, so that they can spawn more things in the world. And that's why single player games are usually 30. So it feels like crap, but there are more enemies for you to kill because more enemies can spawn at the same time. Your little baby computer of a console can handle it. Oh, how hard. Meanwhile, as you're watching this gameplay, I'm pretty sure this is like all high resolution 1080p, even though my graphics card can definitely handle this thing at 4K. That's the difference too. An actual computer like mine, which not everyone's gonna have the type of computer I have. I spent more than enough money on it. Not everyone's gonna have this computer, but a lot of people can get similar results. You can push high resolutions and high frame rates, even with computers that are half the cost of mine. But on a console, you're gonna have an image that looks nowhere near as good and you're locked at 30 FPS. If you click on the little YouTube gear icon on the right, you're gonna see 1080p 60. Yeah, you ain't getting 60 FPS out of a console. So imagine this, except looking half as bad. Imagine the gameplay you're seeing right now, except half of the images are cut out of every frame. Yeah, welcome to playing on a console. It doesn't look good, it's choppy. And that right there is the secret as to why consoles are holding back the gaming industry. Because games literally can't innovate because they have to make them for consoles in mind. Because that's where so much of the money is. And you're forcing game developers and their creativity and all their resources, and they're making these games on computers, but they have to scale them down for our baby console computers. These developers have to choose between 30 and 60 FPS. How many mobs can we spawn in this world? Or is this going to be a simple multiplayer server like Call of Duty where we can allow 60 FPS, but no more? No more, because then the console can't handle it, and it's going to look awful. I guess we can only hope that the next generation of consoles will start to catch up with PC, or else they're going to lose their entire player base. The grass is always greener on the other side. Until you get to PC gaming, then it stays green for forever. Take care, everyone. See ya. We did it, Jake. World Tier 5.
Yep.
How does it feel to beat the division?
I want my $100 back, Nate.
I'm congratulating you on beating the division too.